Hey, have you, like me and probably all the other humans in the world, ever used the language, oh, I just really looking forward to catching up. I really am, I want to be caught up. This is a phrase that we use a lot, right? And I was listening to a podcast the other day that just sort of really made me think about what on earth that means to be caught up. And really, most of the time, we're just dealing with the illusion of being caught up. Because if you think about it really practically and technically, being caught up would be like you don't have anything outstanding, right, on your to-do list, that all of your projects are done and everything is handled and or, scheduled or whatever. And I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure that based on, my to-do list and my idea list and my vacation lists and my things I want to read and my full Kindle and all of this, I'm pretty sure I'm never going to be caught up. And when I first started thinking about this, it really bothered me as someone who loves productivity and getting stuff done. Um, However, I have some additional thoughts on how it might be less bothersome. And that's the subject of this week's podcast, which is episode 64 of Handled Ish Productivity for the Imperfect, a weekly podcast for those who want to elevate their productivity but are not looking for perfection. I'm your host, Betsy Hayes, and I am really happy you're here with me. So, this whole idea of being caught up, again, it's a phrase that we use all the time, and often it is associated with some magical chunk of time, right? Oh, when things calm down, I'll be able to get caught up, or when X happens, I'll be able to get caught up. And I found myself in this trap recently because I have just finished a very, very busy few months. It's all been awesome, but there's been a ton of work and travel and stuff. And so I, kept telling myself that little fantasy phrase of, okay, when I get through this period, I'm going to be, I'm going to be able to get caught up. Or at the end of the semester, I'm going to be able to get caught up, which is what I say most semesters. And I wanted to really chew on this whole idea of the illusion of being caught up. Because when we really think about it practically, I don't know if we want to be caught up. I don't know if we don't want to have stuff that is outstanding on the to-do list or on the idea list or on the vacation list. I think it's really important for us as humans to have these, continued aspirations for what we how we want to spend our time and things we want to cook and places we want to go and things we want to do at work or things we want to do around the house or um, I think it's important to have those things, but I also understand that those can be overwhelming and maybe even paralyzing. So I'm wondering if we should change our language and not talk about being caught up necessarily, but maybe just talk about, feeling good about the way we're spending our time, because I think that's really the goal is to feel good about the way you're spending your time and feel like you're spending it on the things that you want to, the time that we do have control over. Obviously, there's some time, at work and different things that we don't have control, but um, maybe kind of reframe it to that, are we feeling good about the way we're spending our time? And that means we sort of have to have an idea or a system for all of these things that make us potentially stressed out because we don't feel caught up. And I think that one of the reasons why people don't feel caught up, again, I get this as well, is we put things in these mythical lists or folders and then don't plan on circling back to them. So it could be, I mentioned my Kindle, right? I really think I have 60 books downloaded on my Kindle. It's Kindle Unlimited, purchased, blah, blah, blah. Um, and sometimes the fact that I have all of those on my to read list kind of makes me feel like I'm not doing what I want to do as far as reading. And so the reframe in that particular situation could be, wow, I have all of these awesome books. My goal is to read X number of fiction, X number of nonfiction. this year. And in order to do that, I'm going to need to read X number of books a week. In order to do that, I'm probably going to have to spend, this many minutes every day or every couple of days. But really make a plan to accomplish the goal. Otherwise, we just sort of have to let it go and let the Kindle be full of stuff. Because if I don't have a plan for being caught up, end quote, on my reading, I'm always going to feel that my Kindle is like, why aren't you paying attention to me? So, figuring out how to manage that so it feels good, right? So let's just say I do that. I want to read X number of these books, or I just really want to read these particular books. And after that, I'll figure out the next wave of books I really want to read, right? So putting priorities and making time to do that. Then I can feel good about my reading time. Same thing with the house. As you know, I've mentioned on a couple of podcasts, I'm going through this massive purge and reimagining of all the spaces in my house, and I'm not done. And part of that is I allowed myself to get a little overwhelmed during this busy time. And I kept thinking, okay, well, when I'm done with this busy time, I'll be able to get caught up on all my stuff about the house. And again, that is looking at this mythical chunk of time that never arises in most of our lives, except maybe when we retire, but I don't know. We'll talk about that when I retire. And so I had to rethink that too. It's like, okay, well, if I want to finish this purge, I'm going to have to figure out when the heck I'm going to do it. And how much time I'm going to allot to each purge session. And then when I do said things on my plan, then I'm caught up, right? I am making the time to use, I'm using my time the way I want to in order to do the things I want to do. And same thing with work, right? I have a folder, an email folder where I put stuff that I probably want to use for class. And I don't make time to go back and review said folder. So it just piles up. And usually at the end of the semester, I think, oh my gosh, I'll go through it all. By that time, sometimes it's overwhelming. So I might kind of half do it and then delete and start over. But the reason that doesn't work and the reason I don't feel caught up in that area is because I'm not making a plan to do anything with said group of materials. And I think there's probably other examples. Recipes can be something also. If you were just one who collects recipes but doesn't ever cook said recipes, let's figure out what exactly you want to do with them, right? So if you collect recipes and you just like to have a whole bunch of choices on hand, maybe but you're feeling like you've never been caught up with your recipes or you're feeling overwhelmed, then maybe it's, I want to try 2 new recipes a month or whatever, X number of recipes a month. And then when you do that, you are caught up. So I really think this could be helpful and get rid of this constant when X happens, I'm going to be caught up, or I'm going to catch up when things slow down. Because what on earth does catch up even mean, right? Because we have to look at it in each area where we're feeling like we're not caught up. And we need to look at each area. We need to find out what the heck being caught up means. And usually it's because we haven't allotted or planned what we want to do with said catch up bucket list pile. And then we need to schedule time in order to do that. And typically doing that is going to be a chunking kind of situation. There are going to be things that we can chunk through and then be done, right? And then we're truly caught up with said item. But most of life is a little bit like laundry, right? Let's just say I do, when I do finish this house purge, does that mean my house is going to be purged for the rest of my life? No, right? I'm going to need to do maintenance purges along the way in order to prevent, things from piling up or, having the garage be a hot mess or my office or whatever. And, make time in order to do that. Otherwise, I'm going to be right back to square one and feeling like I have to get caught up with cleaning my office because I've been ignoring it and not spending time doing it. So, what do you think? Is this whole idea of being caught up something that haunts you as well? Do you agree that it's an illusion that being caught up is not really a thing? And as a result, accepting that and thinking about things differently could potentially be helpful. I would love to know what you think. At Betsy Hayes on social. BetsyHays. BetsyHays.com is, nope, excuse me. BetsyAHays.com is my website. And I look forward to visiting with you about something different next week on the next edition of Handled Ish Productivity for the Imperfect. And until then, please take care and please be kind to yourself because you are doing way better than you think you are. Trust me.